Welcome to my short tutorial on how to use the freeware FlyByWire A320 aircraft. It's by no means comprehensive. Just a starting off cold and dark here at Charles de Gaulle in France on a gloomy night and operating on a short hop across to London Heathrow. Amazing bit of software, the FlyByWire A320. Most things are reasonably well modelled. I will go through a quick cold start. Quick bit of flight planning using SimBrief. Won't be a tutorial on how to create a SimBrief account or even how to link the FlyByWire A320 to SimBrief. Should be some good tutorials out there on that already. Jumping straight in, jet's currently cold and dark. Get the iPad here fired up. We will cheat just a little bit by jumping straight to a powered jet. So, quick load of powered jet just to get things in motion. Whilst Jet's having a little think about that, we will jump across to SimBrief. I've already got it set up here. That can remain blank. So, we're flying the A20N. Selecting the fly-by-wire, drop down, standard clone profile, CI. You can set that to auto if you really need to. Plenty of other fields here. Don't need any of these things today for our purposes. Very short flight. This is not really a flight planning tutorial, or just to get some data so we can jump it into the jet. Quick generate flight, navlog. Should pop out some data and we can import that into the jet. There we go. Short hop. Only 24,000 feet, cost index 10 for our little 200 nautical mile while hop across the pond. Jumping back into the main jet. Now that's all good to go. We can have a little look. It's imported our SimBrief data, the weather, all the relevant stuff's just sitting here, good to go. You can see the weather's a bit poxy here at Charles de Gaulle. Some isolated thunderstorms and rain floating around the field. Fine and beautiful over in London. We will get things underway. Jumping into fuel, you can see the fuel's pre-populated here. Only need 4 tonne, I won't uplift anymore. Just hit go on that, get that underway. And I'm just happy to run with the pre-defined load of punters. So 174 packs, about 3.5 tonne of cargo. We'll get that underway as well, so the taxpayers are up on board. I'm not an A320 pilot, I won't claim to be, so not in any particular order. We do have boost pumps going, the electric standby hydraulic pump is tripped to on, seatbelt sign's already on, and with the hot power up, that's all we need to worry about having for now. Having a quick look. 011, on to get that in now, reset on both, down to the FMGC, trying to get initialization going. So we've imported ourselves a SimBrief Flightplan. Now we can just hit init request, pretending it's doing an ACARS uplink, runs away, grabs our flight plan. Happy days. You can see the data zone cost index 10, flight equal 240 is already in. Take us across to the next screen. So we've got 4 tonne of fuel, which is what I'm uplifting. Going back across to my iPad. Looks like we're planning on going up to about 60.60 fuel weight and 0 fuel. CG equal 32.7, so 66, 32.7. 627, quick cross check that you're not about to embarrass yourself. Yeah, it's all underway. If you really want to get into it for the longer range flights, we could jump back into Computer Flight Plan and we can see the average wind component is +7, so 7 knot tailwind. 7 knot tailwind at this point we're going here. That's going to be useful for you on trips. At this point, we could load some performance data. The 320 has the ability to fill from Flightplan. It will pre-populate a useful runway for you. To save myself some time, I've positioned the jet today for runway 26 right. Rerun it for 26 right. That is absolute nonsense. Where is that going wrong? Q&H is absolutely not that one. Boom. And pretty light jet. Look, those are going to be good enough for now. So it's just taking off at 64 tonne, which is about right. A little bit of tail, but not too concerned because I just want to get underway. So the 142s. These speeds are going to be good enough for our 4-kilometre long runway. She is not balanced field. D-rates, honestly, this gets pretty carried away. So you can see it's got a pretty big D-rate, given it is a wet tail, wet runway for tailwind.
Boarding completed.
Lower D-rate. Happy days. Runway 26. Let's just have a little look-see at what we're planning on our SID. Okay, we're going to fly the Opal 5 Golf. We're just going to make it off 26 right now. So back down in flight plan, Charles de Gaulle, departure. Find your runway. Park just near that. And the Opal 5 Golf. I haven't paid for any add-ons for this, so there's us there. I'm going to insert it. You can get carried away purchase Jeep subscriptions, but that's looking pretty good. So it's going to part off runway 26. Looks like it's straight out departure. I'm not going to bother to go get my Jeep charts to look at this up. That's going to take me out. We're going to make a right turn, stay in the right way. So that looks pretty reasonable. We could have a look more detail on the plan view there, but I'm pretty happy with that. Is in a relative order. Next thing I'll do, with flight plan 24,000 feet. I'll get a little boost up there pretty quickly. 24,000 is preset. Not doing any air traffic control procedures here at the moment. Just going to cross-check my SID, make sure it's all reasonable. There's no disconnects. Pretty reasonable. Only disconnect there is for the arrival into Heathrow, which I will sort out later. A couple more things here. If you're going to go and get it, you could lock your door. Exciting. Give yourself a valid transponder code, something like that. Put it in TARA, all and auto on the transponder. Make sure I don't get the wind shear system complaining to me later. And we are pretty much looking good to go. Overhead panel is all set and I'm looking reasonable. Beacon can come on, mission to auto. Let's get our pushback man going. Again, I'm not following any checklists here. Just doing things in a reasonable order to get ourselves underway. Cool. Underway, pushing back, starting to. A320 will happily auto start itself. Let's get my pushback turn going in a reasonable direction. Okay, the starter's disconnected. Starting one. Park myself in a terrible place here. Speed this up. Take some room out. Sim lied to me. Start next. That's not looking quite so rubbish.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Pause you there, reset the brakes, get the tug underway, shut that down. Right, we're now reset on the park brake. Up to you at this point in the A320. I now turn the APU off just to get the engines on the bleeds. Pre-selecting flap 1, arm our spoilers, auto brake to max for rejected takeoff. If you want to get really into it, at this point of flight control, check, good go miss, and we are basically good to taxi. So a quick check on where we are, happy days, and putting ourselves on the way now. Don't have any tracking installed at the moment. You can see that process fairly simple. Essentially, set up your cockpit, set up your flight management guide computer, get the correct performance parameters in, and literally only a few buttons on the overhead. Okay, I saved you the pain of watching me do the taxi. Here we are, the hold runway 26 right, lined up, ready to go. Did omit in the after start flow to turn the ignition off, so that's my bad. Other than that, we are basically set to go. Last thing to do is the cabin check, so a quick push on all. Last push the takeoff config. You would do this all at the whole point before you enter the runway, and the jet is basically good to go. If you've got a head tracker, useful to have a view of the throttle quadrant as you do your takeoff, just to get the flex detent. Apologies, zooming in for you. So the flex MCT detent. I do not have a fancy pants throttle, as you can tell, but if you just have yourself zoomed out a little bit, you can get it in the slot. So here we are. If you had air traffic or anything like that simulated, you get your clearance. We're going to say we're good to go. Brakes are off. Let's send it. Throttle straight up into the flex position. Let's go. Be a slight crosswind. Through our speeds, gentle rotate, positive rate, gears coming up, gentle pitch up, takeoff attitude, that's it. So she's pretty happy underway there. She'll go straight into 1500 feet. All by herself. Once she's there, she'll want you to bring the thrust levers back a little bit. There you go, there's through 1500. Throttles back to the climb D10. Starts the acceleration program. You can see it's backed up to 50. Good DNR on the ground spoilers at this point if you're not too busy. Is the flap limits, obviously, for the next flap stage. So flap 2 limit 200 knots. The first stage of flap will auto retract, and the slats you'll have to pull up manually. So there goes the flap retract. Green dot, which is the min clean speed, is going to be up around 220, so I'm just delaying the slats, moving the slats now. You can see the green dot there is about 215. And if I'd gone clean too early, you can see you get up to the pitch limit indicator or the beginning of the stall. Again, not an A320 pilot, everybody. Might happen to fly something different. We're in Europe, transition, standard set. She's on her way. That's it, gears up, flaps up, leave the belts onto her high, start turning down our screens a little bit. Just left the dome lighting on so you can see what's going on. I'll start ranging out shortly on my ND just so I can see what's going on, approaching our first turn. Through 10,000 feet, the 250 below 10 limit will kick. You'll notice the speed indicator kick up to our cruise climb speed, which I think is around 290. And the jet will push the nose down to an acceleration up to that new climb speed. Realistic weather, if I thought about it, I would have set it to fine and mute so you could see Paris on departure. I tend to always just fly with realistic weather. That's it. Probably cut it away here, and I'll see you again as we set up for top of descent into the approach and landing into London Heathrow. The jet from here will happily just climb its way up to 24,000 feet, accelerate to its cruise speed, and do its own thing. So I'll see you again at top of descent. There we are, welcome back. Jet establishing the cruise, 148 miles to go to Heathrow, expecting to land with 2.6 tonne of fuel, so stacks, and probably time to think about getting myself organised. In London today, the weather, light westerly breeze, 10 knots, all the nines at the moment, clouds scattered 1,000 feet, 18 degrees on the ground, 1010, so let's have a think about getting ourselves there. The SimBrief profile had us landing on runway 27 left into Heathrow, so that's what we'll do because that is nice and expeditious. Back across the FMC, Heathrow, let's have a little look. Runway 27 left, that is what I want. And else one hotel, let's see if that exists. It does. And I'm just going to insert it like that because I do not have the others. That's a negative. Quick look in the plan. 40-mile range will do. There's Opal. Kisak, Dimar, Aliso. Coming in, looks pretty reasonable. Okay, just between big and the start of the approach has got the disconnect, so I didn't put a transition. That's fine, I'll join it up like that. That's probably not technically correct, but good enough for us people not using approach plates. You can see if I zoom in, the jet has set a transition of 3,000 feet at the top of that approach, which is pretty standard for most ILS approaches. You'd expect most ILSs to kick off from around 2,500 to 3,000 feet above ground level. We know Heathrow is going to be almost sea level, so around that 3,000 feet is what we're targeting. That is what we've got. Happy days. Back in arc mode, I've got a little bit of time to top descent. Yep, we got time here in the cruise. So we can look at our next little problem. The performance for landing, so under the perf page, jump across to our landing data. Runway 27, what restart was 1010. Temperature on the ground, 18 degrees. That is some tropical summer weather. Radar altimeter, decision high altitude. We'll just go with 100 again. I'm not using plates. It's probably lower than that. Going down to Cat 2. And let's just go to 3010. Good enough. The jet, the A320 fly-by-wire is pretty good, so it knows what the weight you're going to be at Heathrow. So it's like, okay, if you want to go full flat, your VREF's basically 127 knots, or what I would call VREF. Apologies, Airbus pilots. And then, of course, most of us will be adding on. Most companies will have you add at least 5 knots, which is where this VAP 132 comes in. So that's the basic ref. Here's your app. So 132. 10 knot winds, pretty happy. 132 is going to work for us today. If you've got stronger winds than that, by all means, you could plug in some slightly higher numbers, and the auto throttle is going to hold that for you. It's a good baseline. So 10 knot wind day though, happy with just a 5 knot additive on 132. That's pretty much me prepped. Massive runway, auto brake low. We don't really need auto brakes at all, but it's a good habit to be in to at least think of the auto brakes at this point. If you were getting right into realism, you might think about having a look at your approach brakes, doing a brief on the data you've just put in. Again, that's pretty much us as we make our way across. Still fine in view, and a little bit of time to go to top of descent. But that's us done for our approach prep at the moment, and I will have us fast forward through to the next bit. Alright, here we are approaching our top of descent. You'd get cleared down to your cruising level. Honestly, for the sake of this exercise, 3,000 feet, but air traffic would more than likely give you some intermediate steps. You can see here on the ND, this is our top of descent arrow. I can actually send the jet down early, so if I activate that, you can see it's gone into DES mode, and we have started our descent. So initially we were actually a little bit off the profile, didn't go quite early enough there. So initially it will descend at 1,000 feet per minute if you start your descent early. As you can see, it's gone to 1,000 just, yeah, there we go. This is our path here. So the computer calculated descent angle. So I've sent the jet down just slightly early. It's just hitting down 1,000 feet per minute. What's going to happen there is this green dot, essentially, it's going to descend at the normal angle, and it's going to catch up to us, and then the jet will increase its rate of descent to descend on the normal path. Just a easy way to get the jet heading down early. Couple of vertical constraints on the arrival. Obviously at the moment we are not below flight level 180, which is a altitude restriction at FBWA. So even though I've set 3,000 feet in the altitude alerter there, it wouldn't go below 180 to FBWA anyway. Okay, you can see we were 1,200 below path, 11, so the jet's originally calculated top of descent point is now catching up to us. So with our 1,000 foot a minute rate of descent, the aircraft's calculated path is now descending down on top of us. It's going to catch up to us, and then we'll pick up the normal descent angle. You don't have to send it down early. You can just let the jet fly itself. As long as this is set down to a lower altitude than your current altitude, the jet is going to descend. It will always honour this, so whatever we set this to, the jet will level off regardless of its calculated path. As long as it's set down, the jet will go down eventually. Here comes the jet's profile. Watch our rate of descent increase as it hits its commanded idle now. Throttles are rolling back, the engines are rolling back. Boom. We're intercepted normal path. What I would call path. Airbus runs a speed bracket here, so it will prioritise holding our path, and at the idle thrust it's just going to let that speed vary in this speed bracket when it's in a managed descent. See, the jet's tried to manage its path to hit that constraint bang on. So here we are, ITVAX wasn't allowed below 180. Now it's just tripped off path, bless its soul. Put it back into managed. Try and catch that up. If you saw that there, it hit that constraint. That'll be a glitch in either the FlyByWire A320 or just the way it's modelling the current ARAC cycle of what's in the database there. So it tripped into vertical speed mode, which was not going to help us out. So to fix that, I just re-engaged the managed profile, and it's just put itself in the best descent it can, try and catch up from above. Got heaps of speed margin to do that, push the nose down and take the speed increase to catch back up, which is exactly what it's doing. It's using that bit of speed. Speed generates a little bit of extra drag. And there we go, just about back on that profile, and then it'll start slowing the rate of descent down, and the speed will trickle back. Funnily enough, that is what it is doing. Here's the 250 knot slowdown program. Again, if you ever get really high on profile, we can always use the spoilers to help us out. Which I might do here. Now 1,000 feet high on the profile. Obviously didn't like that, having to re-intercept from the constraint there at 180, so I'll just give it a bit of spoiler. That'll help it slow down and descend. So the jet was prioritising getting the speed back in the bucket there, so it floats high on the profile. But with the spoilers out, you can see that'll now chip away at that vertical deviation we've got going on. Habit I have just from other airplanes I've flown, again, you don't have to do this. It's just, I find I don't have a real co-pilot to do this for me on the ground. I just like to start the APU now, so when I'm on the ground, I can just worry about taxiing and not have to worry about trying to look around starting APUs. I'm sure in the real world, you would just do that on the ground taxi again like other airplanes. Just depends. Another vertical constraint, 7,000 feet at Bravo India Golf. Don't think that's going to be a problem for us. Range again a little bit. You shouldn't like that 180 constraint. Don't be afraid to use the spoilers if you need to. They have absolutely done their job. But if I hadn't used them, we would have struggled with this profile. It's only just recapturing it. I'll bring up the RLS. RLS is now up on my screen. Better me would look at the approach plates, confirm India Lima Lima is correct for 27 left. It's good enough for flight sim. There you go, it's just going back into an altitude constraint mode. My speed, for some wacky reason, it has gone into approach mode on the speed, so I just did a speed intervention and it has done the altitude constraint at big. Alright. Yeah, that's a terrible example to show you. Tripped into vertical speed again there, so apparently does not overly enjoy the constraints on this arrival. 1010 is the QNH. That is set and for what it's worth, cross-checked. Just trickling that speed back because our profile has been destroyed by those altitude constraints. You can see with the spoilers up, green dots very close to maneuver speeds there. Just going to approach arm. Let's approach arm. Just leave it as Cat 3 single at the moment. We'll come back to that later. It's gone glide slope bloke. Yeah, that approach is ruthless with those constraints. Toggling back to green dot. You can see the flap 1 limit speed there, 230. I'm below that. I've still got the spoilers out. That's acknowledged. We will stow those through to arms. If you end up really stuck, she's gone glide slope bloke. Let's start bringing the speed back all the way back. She's not going to want to slow down like this, so we've come off that in not a great position, but you know what fixes profile? Correct. Gear. So max gear extension 280, we're below that, and since that profile was not the best ever, that is what we're doing to fix it. The flap limit speeds weren't going to help us out there.
2,500.
Speeds below 200, we're good for flap 2. Speed can keep trickling back. There's the 185 flap 3 limit, so we're below that. Just about got ourselves back somewhere half reasonable. That's flap 3 running. And 160 knots, flap 3, gear down 2,000 feet. That's a pretty reasonable place to be. We set our VAPS 132. You can put it back in managed speeds if you like. I'm going to manually set 132. You can see the landing checklist has come up. Only a couple items left to go. We can tick one off now. It's an easy one. Okay, I'm going to trickle my speed back for 132. And I'm selecting flap full. So unfortunately that star didn't let you see me get down nice and early and slow down before tipping off on the slope. But don't let the jet get ahead of you. Just drop the gear, really get the speed back. It's all about getting speed under control in finals because it really doesn't want to slow down if you haven't got down a little bit early to get it under control.
1,000.
Anyway, here we are at 1,000. We've got gear down, flap full, checklists are all complete. Everything's pretty good. We are stable. Intention of showing this was just to basically demonstrate anyone could do this, to be fair. So I'm going to let it auto land itself. So I've got auto brake low, the spoilers are armed, and the jet's going to literally land itself. It's going to be happy days. Only real technique to an auto land is just to throttle smoothly to idle through about 30 to 20 feet. It'll do a nice touchdown at about 200 feet per minute, which is okay for an auto land. From there, you just need to take over the braking whenever you happen and take your high-speed exit taxi to the gate.
400.
So at the moment, autopilot while throttle's doing all the hard work. We don't know what we're doing. The jet is going to do it all for us.
$50, $40, $30.
Closing the throttles.
10,
Here's idle.
5.
And she's down. Auto brake kicks in. Hardly even need reverse.
Auto brake off.
And that's that. Start your flat retract if you really want. This is why I have the APU already started, to be honest. Don't have fancy rotors or anything. That's pretty much us done. Once marked on the gate, check your gate view is up. Both the fuel controls to cut off, stop, or off, sorry. And then you can go seatbelts off and any other kind of realism-y bits you want to do. Happy days, beacons off, strobes off. You can open up your doors, all that kind of stuff. Air bridges come out, but we are not going to get into that stuff. Only things you could do there on that approach, you could have gone dual autopilot, and it would help out with the final bits and the flare and the landing. It was fine single autopilot for a auto land. Would have been even nicer if it had both those autopilots in. The whole goal there was to show you a startup to shut down landing with jet basically doing its own things. Very minimal things I had to do there other than the rotate on departure, keep it straight, and then the decel and the braking on the landing. Don't pay too much attention to the taxiing. We can all go practice taxiing in our own time. If you found that any use at all, wouldn't appreciate a like, and any suggestions on anything else you might see, including maybe some manual landings or more in depth on how to use the systems. Hope you enjoy that. Thanks very much.